Still have crazies around me. Um, I I was in Shine Wednesday, I think Wednesday afternoon, Tuesday or Wednesday of this last week. Um, they tape an audio in there. Um, some girl had mentioned Harry again. People mentioned some guy named Harry that helped take care of me. I never met him. I never met Will. I only talked to Will once on the phone. Told him I was scared. I forgot to tell him that idiot went to Paymer the night before. I was too upset. They checked the ass, told on me. This was the response. But someone came in and mentioned him. And then when I went to go to pay for getting my hair done, two women were standing there by the register. An agent was seen raping her with a stalker. She can have anything she wants. If you go to Walmart 62 around February of 19 to April 19, there are tapes. There is the guys would follow me around during the day, but if I went down to Walmart or to McDonald's, they let me go by myself. Not smart. People are trying to kill me, but they did. I had went in Walmart and I had forgot Visa card, and I went to go back in, and one of my stalkers were over 100 feet ahead of me walking real fast. Well, I thought, well, he's so far ahead of me, I can get by the self-pay registers, by the food count. I'll just get it and get out real fast. I look up and he's in my face. Some guy looked over, seeing how he was staring at me. He came over and knock it off. I said, knock it off. And he starts yelling at him. I paid for that Visa card I took off. If you go to the rape and torture between July and September of 19, the man that's smothering me, it's him. He's white with black stubbly hair, brown eye. The other one's an agent. A few weeks before the rape and torture, a lady had showed up with a little boy at Meskers Park. Can we have Karen now? The men aren't done with her after what happened to Daddy. Well, I thought of the gunshot night when they were outside that they said they killed people. I thought, well, it's misdirected anger, but regardless, I'm going to turn him in. And I tried to tell the guys when I was alone what happened. I know everything's bugged. Nobody would do anything. I moved down here. I sat alone in my apartment. I know it's bugged. I told them what happened. That man came up, stopped talking around the house. Well, I went out and bought a prepaid phone. And I was video statements and witness like to see David Bright. There was gunfire that went to the wrong house, and I was target practice. I got her admitting it too. And I was gonna turn him in, and at 1239 North Chapel, middle of the night, there's silver cars. Woke me up to, you can't beat a single woman by herself. We can't ever state what happened up there. We can't have it, and they're screaming. I thought they were trying to scare me. 3 men break in my apartment, arms above my head, smothered into my face. All the agents punched me in the front of my private area and then punched inside. I have to take spastic medicine now. I go through a Kegel chair exercise thing to retighten them up, but it's really expensive. I take medication for it now. They did it till I passed out coming up for air. Fourth time. And set her up. After I passed out, my eyes are all foggy. There's an older, heavy-set man at the end of the bed. She don't stay to do it to her again. And they tried to drug me. They poured it in my mouth when they did drug me. I wouldn't swallow it, so they smeared it on my face. And it paralyzed me. And when I said no, they started again, and they beat me till my neighbor heard the bang. I finally just said whatever they wanted. The agent followed me to Macy's, and I seen him, and I was afraid, and I went to leave. There was a lady standing outside with bags. I'm like, can I help you? And she's like, my car was stolen. I said, do you need me to take you somewhere? No, I have someone coming. She said, I said, do you want to sit in my car? It's hot. And she said, no, you can go. I said, I don't want to leave you. She's like, you're fine. They're coming. I said, are you sure? And she said, yeah. So I went to Faith Family Church. There's 3,000 of us. There's over 1,000 in the sanctuary. And in the back of the church, he comes and starts screaming, calling me a whore for him raping me. And the guy in my church had the login. And he got in his face, what you did was consider rape, you leave her alone. And he's pointing at me and he's yelling about Dave, and I'm horrified, and everybody's turning around. At Barry Cheese, between July 23rd and September 1st, I worked there. 4 heavy-set women, white, 2 in the middle, turn around. He said, if you open your mouth again, he'll do it to you again. I was warned to stay quiet or else. I had nightmares. For 9 months, I would come up out of my sleep begging God to help me. They had let me know on July 4th of this year in Big Lots. Well, it's not funny. They said they killed someone outside. Christmas of 18, a few days before, there's a police report in that area of a home invasion and gunfire. And where I always said I could hear Dave outside, the house picked him up. Oh, they killed those people. It's a big mistake. An agent was walking around. He made a mistake in a big one. She doesn't want to move out. He has to let her live there. He made that big mistake. I thought it was that he told Dixie there was gunfire. They went to the wrong house and I was target practice. But it was. And for a moment, they met up outside my house. And they stated how they killed those people. They said last 2 weeks, some agent working, running at that day, said none of this is funny. Those men are actually dead. I've been trying to get them out. The families, and there's a man that said he's crippled. I can't fix what they did. I can only ask for help. The agents bragged at the register in Walmart afterwards. We stayed out of it and talking about this girlfriend being so pretty and the guy running it didn't blame me. And it would for they're African American dreadlocks. And there's an older white guy with a gray hair and a mustache at Woodforest amongst me too. We had 3 backup. I didn't have to call 911. had the FBI listening and they chose to stay out of it. Dave was dating an agent's daughter named Michelle. They were taping me, having people tape me unaware, spying in my home. They lied to people. They had a court order. They didn't have a court order. And they only got me on wiping toxic water off with clothes on. You didn't expose yourself, you're good. They didn't have a court order. They did it trying to catch me doing something wrong and then try to make something dirty out of something that wasn't. You can wipe water off anywhere with clothes on. I mean, you have to touch yourself like for 5 minutes before you have to explain yourself. Not a reaction of water running. It's like guys adjusting their front area, people pulling out bathing suits, people drying off everywhere after getting out of the pool. Guys adjusting their front areas, people pulling out wedgies. The nurse at Mercy Medical was laughing. The only thing they got you on was adjusting yourself. The guy said, "That's sick." She said, "No, it's funny." And then a lady looked at it and said, "You didn't expose yourself, you're good." But what they did was illegal. They knew I called the FBI. They had Will's number. There was no reason to ever stay quiet. And then before I called Will back, that agent went to Paymer, and Paymer got in Dave's face in front of about 75 to 100 people. My God, I had an FBI agent in my office. He's right there. He told the churches. Then they sold the login of all things. They came up and told me they sold the login. They said it's going for $25 a pop. I'm like, did they have my permission? No. Did they share? No. Hope the IRS gets them. People stated they taped the whole case, and over 20 to 30 people said something about seeing the rape and torture in public place. Under tape and on it. Bedford, Macedonia, Twinsburg, North Canton, Canton, Akron, Hartville, Warren, Youngstown. People from Florida showed up at Gentlemen's Club. We heard what happened. We'll help work security. Indiana, Illinois. People from Texas showed up. Kingsman. I didn't know what Kingsman were. They made up scenarios around me to entertain themselves. They said I came from another country, was taking care of me. Yeah, right. Well, then the Kings, they say, showed up and they were big men. They looked like sumo wrestlers, 300 pounds, were part of Kingsman. And I thought, well, they're just with that scenario. But no, they were up here to harass me. They called me a dumbass, an idiot, a moron in public. They were quite horrible. They just created more stalkers. But the rape and torture, 1239 North Chapel in the middle of the night a couple weeks before. We can't have her state what happened up there. You can't beat a single woman by herself. The rape and torture. Threat. Agent follows me to Macy's and then my church. And then at Barry Cheese threats to stay quiet or else. See, they bragged in front of people, they stayed out of it. I was scared to death to tell on them. Because being almost murdered is horrifying and it pisses the hell out of you. I almost got shot in the head driving. The gunshot night I had to hide while laser lights going into the living room and lights crossing out back and gunfire going off. And that idiot rambling, and I kept saying, I need the police. I should call the police. I heard gunfire. And I thought, I know they can hear me. The guys say stuff to me all the time. And it was horrifying. I couldn't get my car, take off driving. I couldn't run to the male nurse's house. And I went and loaded a 9mm gun and several clips, and I kept saying I should call the police that hear gunfire. I knew they knew I was in trouble. I thought they'd show up. And my brother-in-law Craig worked for the Pentagon. Monitor's a monitor. The government can see you through the TV. And he told me that back in the 80s. And I know they hear me. They say stuff all the time. I sat on the floor position between the two doors as he's rambling, and I keep saying I need to call the police. I hear gunfire. I looked out that window one more time, and the green laser light crossed the middle of my eyes, and I died. But I sat on that floor because I'm thinking where to hide. If they break in, I can take them out. I'm not the best shot. And the second set of gunfire exploded in my head. And I threw the phone, and it's weird there. There's 200-foot trees that encase the house. And a giant woods across the street. I picked it out because it was beautiful. And you can't see past the porches that night. And as I prayed, when I threw that phone, moonlight broke through like God heard me. It went dark, and I sat and cried for help that never came. When he got home, his big mistake, they met up outside the house. For you went to the wrong house. We know she's nothing but target practice. She's up to something. We've seen her through a monitor, that figures. Next time we'll come up and kill her and take care of it once and for all. We shot a man that was sleeping. Now he's dating an agent's daughter named Michelle. And they finished him off in a back room. They knew he liked her and wanted to meet her when this was over. And they shot a man in the head that was running. And we're gonna say a neighbor did it by mistake. And I was like, don't think. Nobody showed up, and I hit the wall, and I ran from him, and running through the backwoods out of the male nurse's house, a man with a long black beard tried to grab me. And Dave come running up. Are you having an affair? And I spin around. I've never seen him before. He runs back in the house, and Dave passes me. I turn back around. I have to check the trail cameras to find out how he made it out in the dark. And he takes off running where the lights were crossing when he wasn't home. And I just picked up a stick and started swimming. Like I said, I bought a prepaid phone and I was going to turn them in. They said, none of this is funny. Those men are actually dead. A man said he's crippled over this. I had already almost been shot driving on the way down to John's one day. I had to swerve, and tuck in a split second, pull my life because a man raised a gun towards my head and was pulling the trigger back as I slammed, swerved, and ducked. And they were arguing inside Walmart in front of everybody that they had to pull me out, and the guy running it wouldn't let him. And after the gunshot night, there were 40, 50 agents are inside Walmart really freaking out. And Memorial Day weekend 2019, food counter, a white lady, mom buying cheesecakes for my neighbors. It was for my daughter they did all this for. He met her in Ravenna when she was having a stomach spell. It was for my daughter they did that he dates, and then starts me and our family that watches her down here. And then said who's Karen's rich boyfriend but the state of Ohio who protects her. People were making up that I had a rich boyfriend because I had the state, the police, the FBI, the district attorney's office, and the bar association, the Freemasons, and even the military and the retired vets took turns watching me because I was in high danger. They said That people say she has a rich boyfriend. No, I was supposed to be a protected person in the state. And she was mocking me for it. They looked it up. It's Michelle's mother. Even Dixie's like, I knew about Michelle. I said, the young blonde girl that was the agent's daughter. She's like, yeah, I know about her. The one he's dating now makes no sense. I had called that agent, Will, and got a secretary that he had a list of people his own voice, police and hire were taping before a baby was born. That Dixie and the baby were next, and they teach social lessons for a while ago. And they had a list of people, and they'd move on to who they wanted next. Their vehicles started getting tampered with. Lug nuts taken off. Tire came off when she was driving. Re-loosened again. Good thing she came back. Tire slashed, flat, and her bolts on the brake system removed. So when he put his tires back on, so his tires would explode. Now backfires blow smoke. He took the car that day instead of Dixie. He sat way up on 21 and his whole car blew up. They could only guess what happened. They didn't have any trouble with the vehicles till Dave threatened their life. He tries to make it look like accidents. Dave was already trying to kill me at Lennox. He mentioned he wanted Katie September 3rd to 6th, and I offered to take my things and leave. And he told me I wasn't allowed to leave, that Jack and him had a plan since March, and that they had to do it this way. Well, I'm like, if you have something planned, I'll just give up everything. Well, and he's like, no. Jack says we have to do it this way. Well, they kept saying before what? Well, then it didn't make any sense. And then a little lady right before May 25th on the other street yelled at one of them. Little old lady with spitfire. It's not funny the church people had somebody break into her car and tell her, say she's some kind of weirdo, blah, 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 before. It's not funny they did that. She screamed for the whole neighborhood to hear. And then they talked on the 25th of May, Wendy St. Town. And my one client wouldn't let me around him for like a month. He was too afraid they'd roofie him. And they kept saying before still. And I was going through some old messages. I was trying to figure out when I was neurochipped. And because I thought it was earlier in the case, it was actually December 21st, 18. Stabbed in the neck at the refrigerator. Woke up with hair missing, another man's comb on the dresser. And Dave's accusing me of having an affair. I didn't know what happened. And down at Walmart, like I said, it's a cesspool. They are back by the TVs with cell phones. We all can reach our thoughts. We implanted a neurochip. I thought you're lying. You can't do that. And they did. They took responsibility at Altman Hospital 313 this year at 2:53 p.m. under the case's name. And then in the back even tell in front of people, audio patients, staff didn't care who are that sometime have asked her neurochip. I mean, they said they already knew. It comes up on police scanners as government chip. More than one police department said so about it. And let's see. There's a CT of it at Mercy Medical under dye, March of this year. I can see they cut the wires in the crack. It needs to come out fast or I could die. And that's what they're doing, is trying to stall, so I die. And it goes back to Dave, I love you, but I love her more. I'm so sorry, Karen, you have to die for her. It's the only way we can get everything. And then for that messed up Ron trying to get vengeance because I got Wally or his kid died. I don't even care if Strange lied to him. I wasn't sick when I was. It's sick. And I have documents that I said. And it had nothing to do with his kid's death. Phil ran a stop sign. My whole family's 20, 30 miles away. And a semi hit him doing over 50, blew up the vehicle. Phil wasn't even showable and Tyler got ejected. And Ron lost it at the funeral screaming. It was horrifying. And then 8 years later at Blaylock's. I hate God for taking the thing I love the most, not demeaning him, but I hate him. Not demeaning my other children, but I'm sorry, I misspoke. I hate God for taking the thing I love the most, not demeaning my other children, but I hate him. Blaspheming God with a microphone on a pulpit. He only got away with it because he's a millionaire. And they felt sorry for him. They said he helped pay out the $25,000 to have me murdered. Because I dare get Wildy or his kid died. Sick on horrible levels. When I was looking for that, find out when I was neurochipped, I was looking, Darlene and I went down for pie on the 16th. And then I was going back where that lady showed up at Giant Eagle. The Huntington Bank's not there, but Giant Eagle was. I get paid to watch her. Well, I softened it because Darlene scares real easy. That she got paid to find out what I was doing. It's the same thing. And the banker yells at her, stay out of it. Well, Dave had mentioned something about taping. That's what they say with dirty stuff. I wasn't talking to Darlene, I was texting her. And how could he tape me if I was, you know what I mean? Why would you tape? How could you tape if I'm texting and I'm not talking to you? And I'm like, who are you talking to? No one. It's always no one with him. He was cheating. And I said, I told her the next day my online banking information was changed. I'd be worried if there was more $5 in it. He got my online banking information. Well, somebody said that it was really sick. They gave her an amnesia drug and told her to say gay stuff. Now, I don't care if you're gay. You can love who you want. But I'm not gay. And I'm thinking, oh my God, they did what? And he, what causes amnesia in your wake? Fentanyl, propofol, and benzene. Well, I was mad I got rid of the Daragesic patch. What is Daragesic, the fentanyl name, right? Oh my God, he fentanyl me. All I had to do was scoop part of that patch in my coffee. I was throwing up horribly. And when I found out he couldn't touch my drinks anymore, even though I have intestinal swelling from beatings from him at the end, and I didn't retaliate, he meant it. There's videos of him beating me with intestinal swelling. He, and I found out if he didn't touch my drinks, with less than 30 days, I was on solid food. For months of throwing up. He was drugging me for what? Being an agent's daughter, it wouldn't take much, and with her dirty friends, to break in, and I would hear footsteps and marks on me, and I go to stores. We always knew you're innocent. Tell someone you're arrested, I'm like, who the hell are you and why are you mean? And how'd you get in my house? But yeah, I'm going back to him drugging me before. The lady in the second apartment, she can't even deny it. I had the car and the door open. I'm sitting outside, and her little kids come running out. We think it's funny she finally figured out Dave drugged her and told her to say it. Well, like 2 Sundays ago, some guy come racing in. That ass fentanyled her. Everybody calls Dave an ass. I'm sitting outside my client's house. Some guy yells out I felt bad about everything. And then when I get home around 8 o'clock, a lady and a guy's outside where I couldn't see him. Did you know he fentanyled her and told her to say it? No, we just found out. Yeah, right. Only one that would never known is me. Fentanyl, high dose, you have permanent amnesia. And you never remember you're high as a kite wide awake. They said they didn't know. They already told her the kids were lying. They told me in 19. They knew they were lying. They had all those agencies following everyone around and bugged everybody's house. The comment was, Melissa's so stupid, she made everything up when you were fishing with Dave. She's actually that stupid, she didn't check where you were. Her first lie is you bent over improperly. And they said they seen your butt and you were in this one night and I didn't know 6 years ago and they only made fun of the back of my knee. They also said her second lie, you're being weird with yourself in the bathroom. And they looked through a cracked bathroom door and I'm outside drinking water with Jen. Her third lie, they'll make up something and call you a bad word. Well, I thought it was over the crazy crap. Then they told people I was racist. I hated crippled people. What else? I vandalized their church. I broke in a home, tied my arms and legs to a chair, knocked it over, kicked it over, and jumped out a window. They told someone I shot up a home and killed someone. That was Dave. And June of 19, Liberty Health Share, Hillsdale Road. The North Canton Jackson police are working security. And so it's a guy in a suit. Worst thing I ever did wrong, honey, is bend over and probably we can wipe that out. I thought, I was watching this video chatting with Dave. And Grandma, what's on the back of your legs? Varicose veins. Your whole papa, why get changed? I had hooked up the DVD player. They made fun of the back of my knees. I have varicose veins on the back of my knees. Her first line, where she changed it. 9/19/19, the undercover police in the courthouse help work security, and they followed me around. They did a sweet skit with the judges right outside the divorce room. Before you had us look into it, you knew she couldn't handle it, and you knew she appreciated us doing it. And you can find she did nothing wrong. Judge Pete walks by. Judge Timothy comes in laughing. We're ready to begin. Innocent in the courts of Ravenna. October 23rd, 2019. Flora, my granddaughter, as sassy as she can be. Always been since she was born. She's been a sassiest little thing. We're talking about the house wasn't meant for Grandma. It was meant for Auntie Shaw and Papa and Get Out. She's like, that's not what they said. They said this. And it's filthy of the salting one. Josh goes, ew, don't say that again. It's not true. She starts laughing. She's 7. Of course it never happened. Of course it wasn't true. We made it up. It was a game of pretend. And she's laughing so hard. She sits down beside him, laughing. They had company. It was BB's first party. The police called it fucking shit my family should be ashamed of. Another person looked into it. It was all mean jokes. Mean jokes are one thing. But when the cult is trying to kill you, your granddaughter, and your daughter-in-law, and have a list of people, and they're so extreme, they had this planned out, that they take me unaware illegally. Dave wouldn't have made it this far if he wouldn't have been dating an agent's daughter named Michelle, a young blonde girl. And he started dating another agent's daughter. She was heavy-set, big-chested, and mean parents. We're gonna steal everything you have in life and we're gonna move in the basement when you move out. I'm like, shut up. And they harassed me a lot. And they were fighting over my home. They were fighting over my jewelry. I got yelled at Wendy's in Maslin before December 9th. Give your jewelry back. I said, give it all back. Do you hear me? I said, give it all back. I had $18,000 in diamonds. Okay. So I went home and I was holding that little baby while they were doing it, firstborn, and they hit on her life. I thought they'd stop. So I went home and told Dave I didn't want it anymore. They never stopped. And they all know I'm innocent, and Melissa's a documented liar, and it's a mean game of pretend documented. Never hurt anyone. And it's that they thought they could make a buck out of this. The lady with the little kids that were laughing at me. It's funny. She finally figured it out. It was Dave that drugged her and told her to say it. And they're laughing outside. The car's open. They sold the login to all these places and the chip. It's wide open. They all heard. But a guy with a badge showed up last week. They took him around the corner and she did the right thing. Yes, they did drug her and tell her to say it. I don't know what's on that tape. Someone said, well, it's a mean game of pretend. I'm like, well, that's stupid. It's a mean game of pretend. Well, they told her to say gay sex stuff. I'm like, I'm not gay. And then somebody said they had you admit to murdering someone. I didn't murder anyone either. But this extreme occult had all this planned out. And it wouldn't have went high tech if he wouldn't have met that agent's daughter. He was trying to kill me at Lennox. He was cheating, and we were fixing up our home. We had voices outside, and after 25 years of living there, I got a security system. He was leaving early for work, and car started getting scratched up, and when it came close to Christmas in November, he had break it Daniel, enjoy Grandma, now you won't ever after Christmas. We're going Grandma nowhere. And he scared that little boy. He leaving early. I was trying to get Dixie to follow him because I wanted him caught if he was cheating. I had tarred around the house and I papped up the house with a rake. Our old 1938 windows, the plexiglass held tight, and someone tried to break in. I heard pop, pop, bang, bang, and he tried to, I told him to go down. Are you gonna go down? Look, no, I kept waiting for the security system to go off. And the next morning, the tenants pulled down the rakes, turned over, and a bunch of other things, and the plexiglass cracked. They would have took that plexiglass off and pushed it open, turned off the electricity, they could have came up and killed me. When we got the police there that afternoon, he said it makes no sense. There's all these windows. Dave said, well, they knew where the security system, the officers in the face are individually set up. You're part of it. He says something else. He puts them in the middle of it. And he was part of it. I had him board up the windows until we got glass blocked. And then when we had our house up for sale in March, I was going to show it because Bill was normally busy in out of the area, our realtor. I said I'm gonna go for coffee out in Belden, get it out of the house for a while. He said, go Lincoln Way. I said, I just go down to Bailey. It's easier. Go Lincoln Way. Go down to Genoa that way. And I didn't want to argue with him. It's like, fine, whatever. And there was a car waiting at Avis. I jumped 5 lanes to be nice. He jumps 5 lanes. I'm like, that's weird. He moves over. I move over. He moves over. I go down to Genoa. I turn my turn signal on. He does too. I'm like, this is weird. I'll go back to Bailey if he's following me. I'll find somebody home or go to the police department. And I get stuck at Bailey. I have a bigger SUV by then. 1 car goes by, 2 cars go by. And he hits me doing 45. And he ends up between me and that building. The officer shows up. He's like, he would have rolled you if you didn't have your foot on that brake. He said, I can't prove it, but he's up to something. I forgot to tell him there was a black car with dark windows that pulled off as their sirens got closer, sitting off to the side. I found out that guy was Jack Strange, his Harold brother's granddaughter's Facebook friend. I didn't know there was a 25 grand hit on my life. And then before we move out, I help my one ex-friend clean out her apartment, walk out. A silver car, a silver van, pulls up. I got her, guy with black hair, jeans, hoodie, white tennis shoes. I got her. I look at her, I said, go back in the building. He bolts at me, not her, and he literally hits the back of my vehicle. She got away and he bolts around the building. When we move out, we had went down to Walmart in Massillon. We stored some things at Danny's around Memorial Day of 18, Massillon Walmart. And we went to get curtains for the basement. John and his kids are there. They come running up to us. Grandma Papa, what you doing here? And I'm like, buying curtains for the basement. What are you doing? Moment inside. And so then they leave and we go our own way. And on the way home, he's following me. And a white car's ahead of me. And all of a sudden, the back way is real narrow. And they turn the car completely sideways. Cowboy boot, jeans, black hair. I'm like, Dave, I think I'm getting carjacked. I throw it in reverse. Where are you? I turned down the side. Whoa. And I'm like, you turned down the side. Where are you? And I'm flooring it, and another white car pulls up, and he steps back in. He didn't get a chance to turn around. And he takes off. I was so mad at him for leaving me that night. I wasn't wrapping my mind around what was going on. All these bad incidences. And then he let me fix up that house, work all summer long on it. And then he got ready to kill me again. And I thought at the extremes that if he wouldn't have met that Michelle, he never made it this far. Because there were 6 stalkers, 2 murders. The first day that FBI showed up, a guy made a beeline, and the guy surrounded me, and I thought he had a knife in his hand, and he took off. It was quite horrifying. And not saying all the agents are bad. No, there was some extremely good ones. One showed up and said, that's our Karen, we take care of her, even on her own time. We're very fond of her. And then when it got safe, they did safety in numbers, filled the malls and stores. They were very kind. It was just a few that were for Michelle and that other girl. And it was out of selfish gain. A week ago, Saturday or Sunday, in Dollar General, some lady was talking to this kid. They said the government needs to pick her up at this point. But you said they taped. He said it doesn't matter what they taped fluoride at Mount Reliant. That was 2 years ago. All this was thrown out. And they're trying to make a buck out of me, Fentanyl. While they're trying to kill me for a documented giggle. Don't give them money. But yeah, she said Flora already read them out. They were lying 2 years ago. That's how sick all this is. Some lady drove by this morning. None of this is funny. The police say she's innocent. And they do. They do. They actually did the investigation. It had nothing to do with Melissa's kids. They were documenting a lie, a Ponzi scheme to get away with murder. An attempted murder. And you know what, something? They broke up with that Michelle. Now he's going to marry an old, ugly woman of his faith. And one of the neighbors on the other street works with him. I asked him how he could afford a diamond, or engagement ring, I'm sorry. He said he's got some stored up in the closet. My $18,000 worth of diamond. I could have gave him one back to cover the cost and sold the rest. Give your jewelry back. I said give it back. Right before December 9th of 18 inside Wendy's in Massillon. And I thought they'd stop. I'm holding a brand new baby that has a hit on her life. That maybe they'd leave me alone. They never stop. I need to chip out. I don't die for bastards. Some guy showed up and when they found out he's marrying that girl, he used us all. He did. Now you just need to fix me and the injured families. And the ones that lost loved ones because idiots helped out for selfish gain. You gotta think, if he would have married that kid, she would have been set up for life. He had 375 combined life. A $200,000 plus house with a life insurance policy on it, $18,000 in jewelry, retirement fund and contents for over $600,000 in assets if he passed. I almost died to save my family. When he threatened him, it's like, you fucking bastard. You'll go through me first. And he tried. And then he tried it with Josh's family. That's why the Massillon police won. Someone needs to stop him. And someone does need to get me the hell out of here. I have a government chip. And like the Mercy Medical Radiology said to someone, it needs to be taken care of fast. Some idiot went to insult me. They said, look, we all know some ass chipped her. December 21st, 18, at the refrigerator knocked out. That right here. Crack. Why? It's outlawed. U.S. Supreme Court, 18-101. 3-4, case number 11th Circuit, outlawed neurochipping for the so-called truth, beat, rape, torture, drugs. Do you know they went to extreme to make it look official? They said they used sodium pentothal on her. True serum. It's not true serum, it's movie shit. Falsely admit to luring children, falsely admit to writing ransom notes. Questioner gets what it wants, right or wrong. Falsely confess to Pearl Harbor. False memories implanted. You, like an agent said, we all know you lie under that shit. It's anesthesia, prohibited to be brought into the United States by the FDA and prohibited to be used in humans because it's even lethal. They use it in lethal injections. and putting animals down and humans. It's that deadly. They don't use it because it's deadly and you lie under it. They don't drug anybody. I talked to prosecutors and police. And it does cause septic infects, and I may have one from where I'd have marks on me and what they did to me up there and here. And they can't even deny it. They sold the login of all things. And I've had 20 to 30 people say they'll see the rape and torture and who was in the room. And people, and they take the whole case. And they have to have a personal injury. Somebody needs to get down and fix it. I'm sorry. I went to trauma counseling. And they said I handle it by disassociating. I push it off. It's too much. And when I talk about it, I choke. I stutter. I've been stalked, almost murdered. I've been beat, raped, and tortured and publicly humiliated. And then shined, like the lady said. An agent was seen raping her with a stalker. She gets anything she wants. I already told them what I wanted. And I want this job out too. I'm not joking. Everybody knows what you do. And your agency did just a few crimes. Not everybody's bad. My brother-in-law was a private consultant for the FBI. Worked at the Pentagon. And he did war weapons. And he died moving paperwork from the building. I wouldn't have called the FBI, but Dave looked at me and said, my girlfriend's family is rich and powerful. Her family owns the police. You won't be able to withstand. I told him it wasn't a communist country. Nobody owned the police. And so I made a mistake and I called the FBI. I didn't know he was dating an agent's daughter. Should I call the CIA? Something else. And it breaks my heart that my family died working for an agency. And any part of that agency would ever hurt me. But there's good and bad everywhere, and somebody can fix things, and they need to, before anybody else gets killed, for there is the list, and we'll move on to who we want next. And they were so scared I was gonna tell on them. They raped and tortured me and threatened me to stay quiet when I try to give people help, and I'm still trying. I've got senators, the inspector general, and the special counsel involved. It doesn't matter who I tell. They sold the login. Dave was dating an agent's daughter. And they even sold the login to the bad team for Dave. One of the main guys that were harassing me for Dave showed up outside of this other client's home. Hi, how are you? I said, I'm fine. How are you? He said, it was alright or something. He went to walk in. He's like, Will just needs to pick her up at this point. We all know she's innocent. And he was pissed. The bad guy for Dave. I'm like, God of heaven, I'm neurogenic. I need it taken out responsibly. I want moved in the settlements to U.S. Supreme Court ruling. Because once you take that chip out, I won't be able to work for a little bit. It makes you really sick. I was really sick from them putting it in. And like the hospital said, it can be retracted out, the swelling can be taken out, and your brain will go back to normal. But I need surgery. And no more bitch modes. Yeah, no more bitch modes. Take it out nicely. There was a 25 grand hit on my life. They said the guy that went to Paymer is behind a lot of this. He showed up and mocked me like he had a right to do it. U.S. Supreme Court said no in 2005, 18-10134. No neurochipping, synthetic electronic warfare not to be used on the citizen. Illegal traders were wide against all human rights. 33 agents went to jail for 20 years for neurochipping, drugging, beat, rape, torture for the so-called truth. And they let those women go. And justice for victims of torture and terrorism act came in play. Like the lady said at Dollar General, the government just needs to pick me up. It's your chip. And I don't die for bastards. Think of Jim Jones. Same religion. And then think of what they've done to me. They drugged me. They framed me. They had me stopped, almost murdered. They paid off agents for selfish gain to participate and even chip me and drug me, and were so afraid I'd tell. They beat, raped, and tortured. The little old lady on the other street about a week ago was talking to someone too. They did do it because of the gunshot knife. And that lady, I think she may be moving out, that talked to an agent with a badge. Yes, they did drug her and tell her to say it. People are doing the right thing at the last moment. Someone needs to come get me responsibly.